All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on SAP Datasphere. We're going to see how it takes this massive, tangled web of data that so many businesses have and turns it into something you can actually use, real, clear business insights.
So, here's the game plan. First, we'll look at the architectural blueprint, the foundation of it all. Then, we'll see how you actually get your data in. After that, the fun part, modeling it to give it some business meaning. And we'll wrap up by tackling some really tricky, complex challenges to see this thing in action.
Okay, first things first, the blueprint. Before you can build anything great, you got to understand the foundation, right? So let's look at how Datasphere is actually put together. Let's be real for a second. We all know the big problem, don't we? Your data is, well, it's everywhere. It's in this system, that system, completely disconnected, stuck in its own little silo. And trying to make sense of all of it, it's a nightmare. A huge challenge for pretty much everyone. And this is exactly where SAP Datasphere steps in. It's not just another database. That's key. It's what we call a business data fabric. Now, what does that mean? Well, think of it like a smart blanket that you lay over your entire messy data landscape. It doesn't force you to move everything. It just unifies it, providing one seamless way to get to your trusted business data. So, how does it do that? Let's look at the core concepts. First, you have spaces. These are basically secure sandboxes for different teams. IT gets a space, sales gets a space, so nobody's tripping over each other. Then there's the data builder. This is your workshop, your engine room, where you bring in the raw data and start shaping it with these cool graphical tools. After that, you've got the business builder. This is huge. It's where you add the business context, the semantics, so the data actually speaks the language of your users. And finally, the catalog. Think of it as the librarian for your data, a central place to find, trust, and govern everything. And check this out. This diagram shows it all in action. You can see the flow, right? Over on the left, you've got the IT space. They're providing the raw source data. Then it moves into the sales space where it gets modeled and enriched into this nice, clean, enriched sales view. This becomes a trusted, governed asset. And then it's shared with other teams, like Sales Europe. It's all about collaboration, but in a really controlled, secure way. Pretty cool. All right, so we've got the blueprint down. We understand the structure. Now for the next logical question. How do we actually get the raw materials, our data, into the workshop? One of the first big decisions you have to make is how you're going to bring that data over. You've got two main flavors. Initial only is pretty simple. It's a one-time full copy, perfect for data that doesn't really change. But then you have initial and delta. This is the workhorse. It does a full copy once, and after that, it only grabs the changes. This is absolutely essential for keeping your data fresh from live operational systems. And actually, creating one of these replication flows is super straightforward. It's really just a few steps. You pick your source objects, you point it to a target, you do a little configuration on what you want to bring over, and then you just save, deploy, and run it. Or, even better, you can schedule it to run automatically. Simple as that. Okay, so this brings me to a little technical question for you. Let's say you have a source table, but it only changes like once a month, infrequently. Why might you still go through the trouble of setting up initial and delta instead of just doing a simple initial-only load? What's the real trade-off you're making there? Think about it. It's really about building a future-proof, automated process versus taking on manual risk down the line. All right, so the data is in our system. Now the real magic happens. This is the modeling phase. We're stepping back into that data workshop, but this time, we're not just moving data. We're shaping it into something that means something to the business. And the data builder is where this all goes down. Look at this. It's completely graphical. It's like a digital whiteboard. You can just drag in your source tables, drop in operators like joins or unions to combine them, and visually build out this entire flow from raw data to a final enriched view. It's incredibly powerful. Now, one of the most critical things you do in here is apply what's called semantic usage. This is so much more than just a naming convention. When you tell Datasphere that one table is a fact, with your numbers, your sales revenue, and another is a dimension with your descriptive stuff like customer names, you're literally teaching the system how your business works. This is what lets your BI tools automatically know how to slice and dice the data correctly. Here's another really important concept, view persistence. See, by default, all these views you build are virtual. Think of it like a recipe. It only gets made when you ask for it by running a query. But if a view is really complex and slow, you can choose to persist it. That's like pre-baking the cake and storing it. The result? Queries are blazing fast. The catch, of course, is that you're using up storage, and your data is only as fresh as the last time you baked it.
So that leads me to my second technical question for you. We talked about speed versus storage, but what are the other big drawbacks of persisting a view's data? And more philosophically, how does creating these physical copies start to mess with that golden rule of data warehousing, having a single source of truth? It's a classic architectural dilemma, isn't it?
Okay, we've covered the architecture, ingestion, and modeling. Now let's put it to the test. Let's move into the showroom and see how Datasphere tackles a really common but super difficult real-world data problem. So here's the scenario, and I bet you've seen this a million times. You've got two tables you need to join on a name, but the data is just messy. It's been typed in by humans. One system has Argyle and Butte with an ampersand, the other spells out Argyle and Butte. A simple database join? No way. It's going to fail. It sees those as two completely different things. And this is where a tool called the intelligent lookup becomes your absolute best friend. It's designed for exactly this problem. It doesn't just look for perfect matches. It uses smart fuzzy logic and matching rules to find relationships in your data, even when the keys are messy or incomplete. And you can see exactly how it works right here. It's so clever. You give it your two input tables, the messy ones. You tell it the rule to use, like a fuzzy match on the county name. Then Datasphere goes to work and sorts all the results for you. You get a bucket of perfect matches, a bucket of ones it thinks are right but wants a human to double check, and a bucket of non-matches. It's brilliant. And the impact is, well, it's huge. In one case study, a standard join could only get a 31% match rate. Pretty poor. But by using the intelligent lookup, they boosted that all the way to 79%. And that's before a single person had to manually review anything. That is a massive improvement. And what this really means, the big takeaway here, is that you're solving these gnarly data quality problems inside your model. You don't have to ship your data out to some other tool, clean it, and ship it back. It's all integrated, and that saves an incredible amount of time and effort. So that really brings us to a final, bigger question, and I'll leave you with this thought. When the technology starts to take away these huge data unification headaches, what does that free you up to do? With tools like this, what's that one big, important business question that your organization could finally get around to answering? So there you have it, a journey from a complex data blueprint all the way to real business insight. I hope you found it valuable. And if you did, any engagement always helps other folks who are curious about this stuff discover it too. Thanks for watching.